Hey, it's First Frontier Forward. It's Rob Z with Megan Stanton of Marigold Holistic Pet Care. And thank you for being here, Megan. Thanks for being a part of the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So we're having you on today because, right now, currently still in quarantine during the whole coronavirus ordeal.
Right.
And we have schedules, we have routines, but our pets also have routines that kind of go by our schedules and routines. So something I
Yeah.
really wanted to ask you on here. And we're going to get into more of what you do, but I wanted to throw this question out right at the beginning because as we start to reopen, as people start to go back to work, and your pets are used to this new schedule of you being home all the time, how do we handle like pet distancing? Could it be called that? Would you call it that?
Yeah,
And
I
how
think
do
that's
we
a good way to
readjust?
describe it. Well, however makes you understand it, that works. But yeah, I mean, our pets are always kind of a chameleon to us in our routines and our schedules. And a big thing that I see with some behaviors is whenever things change a little bit, then dogs and even cats can have a disruption of their behavior based on a schedule change. And a lot of times that's the one question that I ask new clients is, has anything changed in the home? Did somebody go to college? Did you have a baby? Did you change your work schedule? All these different things are changing because a lot of times that's why behavior problems begin to erupt. So obviously with the state of affairs and everybody being home for so long, your regular schedule, I know mine has been disrupted and the dog or cat has gotten used to that. Now we're changing over. Things are going to go back to, normal. And, your pet is going to have a disruption in behavior with that. So we need to plan for that. I tell people, like, if you're going to go cut your grass, um, if I go cut my grass, I'll let my boys go outside and hang out in the sun. But if do whatever you normally would if you did leave the house and go to work or run your errands. Put your dog in the crate if that's what you do, or just leave the dog in the house and don't let them come outside. I know it seems like, oh, why would I do that? I want them to come out and enjoy time with me. But we also need to worry about like going back to reintegrating that separation from us and time away, and they need to learn to be able to self cope and entertain themselves. So yeah, I would definitely suggest starting to distance yourself from your pets. I know it sounds horrible, but it's necessary in the long run for their happiness and well-being to kind of start implementing
Yeah, and I didn't even think of that, and probably a lot of pet owners haven't really thought of that. Like,
that. Right. Yeah.
the pets are so used to you being home, and I imagine I saw this really funny meme of like a dog being super happy that you're working from home all the time. The cat's kind of like,
Right.
"Get out of the house,
Exactly.
you're
I've seen
around
that
too
too.
much." It
Yeah.
kind of cracked me up, but the concept, right? It makes a lot of sense. All of a sudden, one day you're going to go back to work and go back to the normal life that we had, and your
Right.
pets are going to be like, "What the heck happened?" Obviously, they're not going to need much of an adjustment to you being home all the time. That's going to make them really happy, right?
Right.
Not as much of an
Exactly.
adjustment there, but this idea of all of a sudden you disappear. I always thought of that when you go on vacation and your pet is left at home and somebody's watching your
Right.
pet. Like that's got to be a really sad experience, and I don't think we think about
Absolutely.
that often enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I see a lot of times, people take their pets to different places and they won't eat, or they may develop some like GI issues and loose stools and stuff. And it doesn't mean that the facility that they were at was bad. It's just that change of environment could cause a little bit of distress, even if that facility is a fantastically run facility. So you can't kind of base that off of, the quality of care all the time because yeah, they do react to change of environment, change of schedule, just change of normalcy. So in this situation, there's no difference.
Yeah, do you? This is just kind of a personal question. I'm curious. Like, what do you recommend doing in those sorts of situations? Do you talk to your pets? Do you tell them? Can you somehow verbalize that, or do you have to kind of just like lure them into it over like a course of time to get them prepared?
Yeah, it really comes down to the very very basics of just creating a predictable schedule for your pets.
Yeah.
That's huge because they will be able to predict schedules. Now, verbalizing anything, I actually do this as an example, like a demonstration with clients. So like my dog Cash, he might not do it, but I'm gonna use this as an example. So if I'm like, Cash boy, nobody loves you. Yes, nobody loves you. Daddy said you're so ugly. Yes, he did. Like you can say things to your pet in a nice way, and they're
Right.
not gonna think you're saying something bad because they don't listen to actual like language. But if you're like, I love you, you're so pretty, the dog might be like, whoa, what the heck? It's because of your how you're saying it.
Yeah.
Now, So you can't tell your pet, hey, it's okay, I'll be back later. They're not going to understand you. Dogs don't have certain parts of their brain for higher thinking like we do. So you don't want to like cross species. It's called anthropomorphizing. That's a good word to Google if you want to know more. But
Hard word
you
to
can't
say.
put human needs and emotions on non-human things. So not only that, the verbal part, but how you say it. Sometimes if you fuss over your pet too much and you're like, it's okay, I'll be back. Don't worry, don't get upset. My like amped way of talking can actually amp them up when they weren't even amped. So a lot of times, I say this a lot. I've said it in so many clients, so many videos, that doing nothing is powerful. Sometimes with pets, because they are so basic. I mean, dogs are intelligent, absolutely, but in coming to compare them to humans, we can't treat them as little humans, even though I like to think he is my little human son. But he's not. He's a dog, and I have to give him what he needs communication wise to understand and be happy. So kind of just go back to your schedule, just get into things, don't make a big fuss over it, and you should be good. That should help a lot, actually.
I've often felt that your pets are kind of like, especially your dogs, are kind of like whenever you have kids, they're very in tune with your emotions and your state of well-being, and they can kind of pick up on that much more than maybe an adult would be able to. Would you say
Right.
that's true?
A little bit, I like to think. I mean, I actually really like to base everything that I talk about, that I do, that I create my philosophy on. I like to base it on good, hard, juicy, studied data. I'm a big data person. So I mean, I understand for innovation to happen, you have to have an idea that you don't know about and go with it. But whenever we're working with like changing behavior, psychology has been around for like literally hundreds of years. We know a lot about psychology. The human brain's a little different because it is like super complex, but dogs and cats are quite basic in comparison to humans. So, you know, the simpler we keep things, the better off things are going to be. And when we're simple and we're chill, then you're right. They're going to pick up on that and they're going to be pretty chill. But if we're like, oh my gosh, you know, and you're yelling at your kids, you know, and your husband and you are like arguing over the new schedule and you're frustrated, you're back to work. Yeah, they're going to pick up on that and they're going to be, you know, a little bit of a chameleon to that. So, you know, sometimes doing nothing is powerful. Just be chill, get back to the norm, don't make a big deal out of it, and they'll be able to just kind of vibe off of that that vibe that you have going.
Very cool. I love that. That's great advice. And so, as far as Megan, with Marigold Holistic Pet Care, right now, you know, you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, you're on Instagram. While I'm talking about that here, I'm going to share the screen so people can actually check out what your platform looks like here. So you have your Facebook page, and you have your YouTube channel, which you just started, and you've got a couple of videos on there that you've. It's
Right.
great because you're doing like doghouse training, how to stop puppy biting and mouthing, the ultimate dog enrichment list, and some cat stuff too. And then your Instagram page. But on your Facebook right now, you're doing Facebook Live. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 o'clock, you've got a
Right.
Facebook Live up on there. And
Yeah, I'll probably change that once everything goes back to normal, maybe to like later in the evening because people will be at work now. But for right now, it is Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1. I might change it to like maybe 6 o'clock Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here in a week or two.
very cool. And I love the concept because, so talk about this a little bit, right? And I love this with the whole situation with quarantine. People are having to innovate their business model. Now, you don't have a physical location where you have your business. You do home visits for pets,
Right.
for families. But you're also now adapting to being able to jump online. And this is the big thing you and I were talking about off air, is that a lot of businesses didn't have the time beforehand to really figure out social media, to figure out digital marketing, or how to do Facebook Lives
Exactly.
correctly, or those sorts of things. So you were saying to me, like, this time gave you the opportunity to learn these things and to learn how to execute this kind of stuff. How did that all come about for you, and how is that kind of changing what you're doing now?
So as I told you before, I have two teenage daughters. One's a competitive dancer and one's a competitive cheerleader. And anybody that knows anything about those two sports know that it is around a year-long commitment. There's no like season for dance and cheer. They practice all year round. So I'm like super busy. Not only that, but also just running a business and taking care of people's pets takes up a lot of my time. And I don't have that downtime to be able to devote to a lot of, marketing. And I don't have the capital to be able to pay someone and making a big investment and having someone else do that for me. So I just kind of like wung it. I thought I did a decent job. But now that I've learned more with my downtime, because my girls aren't running to practice and competitions all the time, that I've had all this time to figure it out. And I've joked and said, like, I'm a dog trainer. I'm not a video editor. I don't, I'm 35. I'm not super young with understanding technology. I get by, but I actually taught myself how to just create and edit videos for my YouTube channel by myself. I bought an Adobe software for it, and I just figured it out. And I know a really good friend of mine, Lynn Faust, who runs Crystal Clear Wellness in Hollidaysburg. She was doing Facebook Live videos as well because she has inventory that she needed to sell. So she was doing like live videos and things like that. So I just reached out to her, was talking about how I didn't even know how to schedule a live video on Facebook. I had no idea that was even an option. So I kind of learned from her a little bit. So I feel like a lot of small businesses are kind of helping each other navigate on what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it. Because, I mean, we kind of all are doing that. We're all navigating things. I'm trying to help my teenagers with math homework that I have no idea. So, the teachers are trying to learn how to teach from that model. So we're all kind of, in the same storm, trying to figure out how to navigate this downtime that we have. And yeah, I mean, I've been pretty proud of myself to say the least on how I've kind of implemented all this social media and digital marketing that I didn't know before.
Yeah, and I think the thing, at least most people that I talk to about with this figure out is that you don't really need as much as you think you do. And
Right.
the less you have, sometimes the better off you are because you can just kind of go with what you know instead of having to figure out a bunch of new things. And if you can't figure something out, I mean, obviously you can just go to YouTube and the answer is
That's
going to be
exactly
there.
how I learned how to use that Adobe software. I watched about a million videos on how to do different things and on YouTube. I just went to YouTube, typed it in, and watched a video and learned how to do it. Oh, okay, now I know how to do it.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that YouTube has been a big help for me for that.
And as far as like what you do with holistic pet care, because I love that idea, the holistic idea, you have, this is something I was always curious about when you become a dog trainer or an animal trainer, like what kind of qualifications fall into that role? And for you, like the extensive training that you've actually gone and done, talk about that a little bit. What kind of puts you on your own level as far as the training you have and the knowledge you have as far as pet care and training goes?
Great. So, a very good colleague of mine, dear friend of mine, Lisa Boland, she is the manager at the Huntington shelter, Huntington Animal Shelter. And she told me a long time ago, these words that resonate with me all the time, if you're doing it the same way every year, you're doing it wrong. Because there's always new things to learn. There's always innovation. There's always more effective ways. So if you kind of get stuck in that rut of, oh, well, this is how I've always done it, there's probably, like, I mean, that goes to say with anything. Like if you are anything in technology, if you did it the way you used to do it, you probably are a little outdated, and there's somebody that knows a little bit more than you that can be more effective. So I initially looked into dog training, and unfortunately there's no governing agency that surrounds dog training. So like a hairdresser, they have to go through training, they have to take tests, be board certified, update their license every year, which is a good thing. They put a lot of work into that, and it's a really good thing so that they're staying up on top of industry standard and safety protocols and everything. But unfortunately in dog training, there is nothing, absolutely nothing. You could read a book and call yourself a dog trainer in a week if you wanted to. There's nothing that tells you you can't do that.
That's crazy. That's surprising, but
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of scary. Not that like I told you before, that I don't think that I'm any better than another trainer. I love working with other trainers, because there's some times where I like to think I'm really good on a topic, and then another trainer says something about it, and I'm like, oh, that's actually really smart. I like that. I'm going to use that. Thank you so much. You got to just feed off of each other's brains, because we all can learn so much. But so with dog training, anybody can call themselves a dog trainer, and you want to try to do your research when you're finding a dog trainer, a pet sitter. Anybody can call themselves a pet sitter. So you definitely want to have people that are not only qualified but also really kind of understand the industry. So I went through animal behavior college. It took me a little over a year to actually get my certification. There's another dog trainer in Roaring Spring, Jessica Stifler, with Among the Wild. She's incredible. She also has the same certification as I do through animal behavior college, but we're kind of the only two like in like a ways away that have that. But that doesn't mean that the certification that I have doesn't mean that somebody else couldn't be just as qualified for a job as I am. But I think that as consumers, for caring for our pets, whether it be training, sitting, grooming, even veterinary care, we need to do a little bit of research. Are they up on top of industry standard? Things like that. So just to be very concise and ask questions. I encourage people to what I joke and say, doubt me. I want you to doubt me. Ask me questions, and I'm going to give you the information that I have on how I operate in hopes that it would be in line with what you want for your pets, and then we can then do business.
I love this because the idea that not every human is made the same, not every pet is made the same too, and that's
That's
an
a big
obvious fact.
thing.
But I think we have, in general, kind of adopted certain things that seem to be applicable for all pets, all animals, all dogs, or all cats. And it's cool to hear you talk about this because it's like, oh yeah, of course, they all have their own. If you know dogs, they have individual personalities, just like people do. So you're
Absolutely.
going to have that holistic idea of like, how am I going to tailor what I do to this certain pet in this certain family with this certain environment and their own set of rules and their own set of a lifestyle. That's probably, I mean, I imagine for somebody who is not very knowledgeable in this, which would be like myself, it sounds very challenging. It sounds like a lot to
It
be
is.
able to like adjust to.
It
But it
is.
seems like you've got it down to an expert kind of level where you know how to do that and you understand how to adapt to those certain personalities. And what is that like? What does that look like for you? And how, like, what are the results you've seen from people you've worked with on the home visits you do and the pets that you work with?
So I want to touch real quick on the holistic part of what I do. Yeah, yeah, I call myself a holistic provider. And a lot of times people get, I actually read a comment some time back. It was on a news segment I did or something. And somebody's like, oh, geez, holistic pet care for our pets. Well, now what's next? And they think it's this like, you know, I don't know, like this society of people that are like people say, you're a hippie or something like that. If there's anything wrong with that, but that's not what it is. It's more, if you look at the definition of holistic, it just means to see things as a whole. So, and I like to do that, and I think it's really, really, really important for us to see things as a whole for everything in life, not just pet care, but to take a step back and like really see like what's going on, and then how can we then create a plan and come into it, as opposed to, oh yeah, I know how to train dogs, let's just do it. You don't really want to do that. So when I if anybody that knows me, I'd like to say that people would say I'm a people person. I am. I'm a big people person, and I can read people. I can adjust to myself to other people. And when I mentor other dog trainers, I say, listen, if you're not a good people trainer, you will not be successful in this business. You have to know how to read people. You have to know how to talk to people. And you have to know how to adapt yourself to provide, the best care for that situation. So for people to say that, I have this is my way of doing it. Well, I have a way of doing things, but my way changes all the time based on those different aspects. So, like I explained to you, I may have a family who has, a dog that needs certain criteria met to be behaved and happy. And I can sense, like I'm a mom, I have things going on. I can sense when they're like, this is like way too much for me. So I'm like, all right, let's figure this out. We're gonna figure it out. And I give people hope because you can figure it out. Like I'm not just blowing smoke. Like we'll figure this out. And I will try to modify the situation and give them advice that will work for them. So I don't go in to each client with the same plan. It's all different because I want to see people successful. And I may have somebody who, is single and their dog is, they're everything, and they have all the time in the world for their dog, and they're going to be doing all this crazy stuff because they have time to practice and they have time to implement. Whereas, working family, I get it. Like I know that you're not going to be able to do all the things that I really want you to do, but I'm going to try and modify my plan for you to kind of fit that, to make that happen. So I think that's really important that, we as trainers see things as a whole and adapt ourselves to each client. And not only that, but also diet, lifestyle, all of those things affect behavior. So if I have an aggressive client, a dog who's acting aggressive, and I say that with air quotes because most of the time the dog's not aggressive, they're just scared, and we deal with it as such. But I'm going to talk about what kind of diet do we have, what kind of exercises and mental stimulation are we getting on a daily basis, and even so far as to like, I need you to get blood work done on your dog. What's their thyroid doing? A dog that has a thyroid that's off could be aggressive, and there's no amount of training advice that I give you that's going to change that because the dog has a thyroid problem. So that's why, as a whole, that's why I call myself holistic. I see things as a whole. I don't just go in and say, oh, do this, this, and this, and you'll be fine. And buy this collar, buy this leash, good to go. It's not that easy, So
I
I
love that.
change.
I imagine you're getting great results from families and people who have pets because it seems like that's the right approach. Just like a person, we have to treat a pet, the animals in our life, just like we treat ourselves. Hopefully, we're treating ourselves well. And some people treat their pets better than they treat themselves. So, in
Right?
some cases, that
Yeah.
for your pets, it's a great thing. For
I even
yourself,
use an example too of, I have two teenage daughters. They're 2 years apart, almost exactly to the day. I parent them the same, they're the same gender. They have the same, they go to the same school, but they are totally different people.
mm,
And I have to parent them completely different. Anybody that knows my kids knows that that is like 100% true. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be applying that to other behavioral aspects like with pets.
no doubt. All right. Well, this is awesome. I love this conversation. I love what you're doing, and hopefully, more people are checking out what you're doing. Before we sign off here, I'm going to share just your Facebook, so you can go to Marigold Holistic Pet Care and Canine Coaching on Facebook. You can check her out on YouTube under Marigold Holistic Pet Care owner Megan Stanton, and you can go to Instagram, Marigold Holistic Pet on Instagram, and check those accounts out. Find out more about your pet. And I guess you probably learn more about yourself as well as you learn more
Absolutely.
about your pet.
For sure.
So you're doing home visits. If people want to get a hold of you, if they want to talk to you more and be a part of what you're doing, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
They can, probably the best way would be Facebook message, but you can certainly go to my website and, you can text me, you can call me and send me an email. I check all of them regularly. I try not to stick to one thing because, some people don't do Facebook, and I want them to be able to go to my website and they can contact me through email. That's fine.
What is that
So
website? I didn't bring that up.
it's just www.marigoldholisticpetcare.com.
Okay, awesome. Very cool. Okay, well, this is a great conversation. I love what you're doing. So I hope that this message gets out to people and you're helping them and their pets have better lives. Thank you so much, Megan.
So much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.